Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from AnthonyMorganti.com, and this is episode 123 of Photo Critiques. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard that I'm no longer taking any new images for critique. I will be doing critiques for a while, though. I have a lot of photographers waiting for me to do their critiques, and I have a lot of images backed up. So I'll be doing these videos through February and into March, so I'll be doing them for a while. If you haven't heard why I'm not doing critiques anymore and you're curious as to why, there's a link in the description of this video. Click on it, and it will take you to a short article I wrote that explains why I'm not going to be doing critiques and the exciting new thing I'm going to be doing instead of critiques. And tell you the truth, I'm getting more and more excited about it. I'm getting emails every day from people that are interested in it. So check it out if you're so inclined. Now, as I mentioned, this is episode 123, and in this episode I'm pleased to critique the work of Andy Kirk. Andy sent me in a nice variety of landscapes. And this first one's kind of, an evening shot. Very well done. I love the processing. I like the composition itself. Very well done. Not much I could add here to make this any better. What I would say is you did shoot at 1/6 of a second f at 2.8 ISO 200. Now, obviously, the ISO or the f-stop at 2.8, which is relatively wide open, which is wide open on this lens actually, allows you to use the lower ISO so you avoid any noise in the shot, and 1/6 of a second, which is a manageable shutter speed in most cases. And I really like the effect. It froze the water, the ripples in the water, and it gave this nice reflection. And it really is cool looking. I like that. What I'd like you to try though is when I come to a scene like this, I would take a shot like this too. And then I would close my aperture down more towards f11, f8, somewhere in there. And then of course that would force me to use a longer shutter speed. I'd keep the ISO the same, and I'd use a longer shutter speed. And the longer shutter speed will really smooth the water out and make it look like glass. That'll give you a whole different look to the reflections. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be better. It might not be as good as this, but I always do both, and then I decide later when I see them on my computer which one I prefer better. And it gives you a little more a wide range of of a shot to get an idea of how you like the shot. So I'd like you to try that in the future. This next shot is similar. This is a great shot too. It's a little later in the evening. You can see it's considerably darker, but we still have these really cool reflections. I particularly like the colors down here in the reflections. It's really nice. Again though, if this was at 0.3 of a second f at 2.8 ISO 200, if you take this picture and then immediately close your aperture down, keep the same framing, close your aperture down more towards f8, f11, and shoot it again, of course you're going to get a much longer shutter speed, 30, 45 seconds, and it would really smooth out the water. It's going to make it really glass, and you'll get a lot more definition in the reflection. It might not be as nice though, because these rippled reflections really look cool, but it's something to try, and then you could decide later in post which one you like better. This shot, some scenes are just difficult to shoot. I love your processing on this, and I like the focus and everything spot on. I don't have any EXIF data on this shot, so I don't know what focal length you used or what your camera settings were. This scene is difficult because we just have this, large group of trees right here that are just in the front of this house, and it's obscuring the ivy that's growing on the front of the house, and so it's difficult really to photograph. So this is one where you really have to work the scene, and you might not be able to get a decent shot of the house. So what you could do is you could use different focal length lens, and you could take some sections. You could take a shot of a window and try to get as much detail in the stonework as possible. Get a shot of, I don't know what those are, maybe lightning rods. Get a shot of those and try to get the detail and the look of those. Maybe the row of chimneys. You could go around the back of the house and just get a shot of the chimneys. Something like that, with the backdrop of the nice sky. So you could work the scene, and if you really can't get an angle to get the whole house in where it looks, nice, or to your liking, then you could try to get pieces of it and try to express the house in that regard. This is a cool shot of this archway that's underneath this bridge, and it looks like the lighting was pretty harsh, and we as photographers always have to deal with the light. So in this case you did a really nice job. You minimized the harsh light by getting down here and framing it in such a way where the archway dominates. And we really just, see the sign of what it is, so we know what it is. You gave some visual clues. So it's a really nice shot, and I like the processing too. The colors are really nice, not really overdone, just saturated enough to make it look very lush and interesting. This shot here I like a lot too. This is, the backdrop of the sky. Now I gotta say the last few, I think the two evening shots we saw, the night shots, were larger. All the other shots I received from Andy were really small, so I had to blow them up so we could see them in the video. So you could see there's a lot of noise up in the sky here, but that's probably because I blew it up. Also, you could use noise creatively. A lot of people like the noise as an effect in their shot to make it look more like a painting maybe, or like an old time photo. So that's, could be an effect too. But I do like the composition. I like the way the boat is. The only thing I could recommend, a couple things. You got the boat almost smack dab in the middle, the horizon there. I think I'd like to see you try to take some different angles. Put the boat, more towards the lower right. Get more of the sky in the shot. Get closer, cut out this part of the shoreline, and just have the boat more dominant in the shot, so it's more on a uh, diagonal from the upper left to the lower right, something like that. So you could, it comes down to working the scene. So you have a nice overview shot here. So you're getting part of the shoreline, the water, the harbor, the background with the hills and the sky. Then think of some different things. Position the boat differently in a different part of the frame. Getting closer, stuff like that. Don't always take the shots with the subject right in the middle. So try to move it around. I mentioned before there's the rule of thirds, and then I use the golden ratio, which is very similar to the rule of thirds. Those of you that know what I'm talking about, I could bring up my crop thing here. If you could see these lines in the video, this is called the golden ratio. This is 40% of the picture is this first box. Then it's 20% of the picture, then 40% of the picture. So it's 40, 20, 40, 40, 20, 40. And you see how you have the boat right in the middle. Typically we like those at lines of intersection. So if you pulled your camera up and to the left a little bit and had the middle of the boat right at this line of intersection, I think it would have been a stronger image. Now the excuse me one second, I hit the wrong key. The let me see if I can get the rule of thirds. This is the rule of thirds here. So this is 33 and a third, this is 33 and a third, and this is 33 and a third. So they're evenly spaced lines. So they're all 1/3 of the entire scene. So if you prefer to use the rule of thirds, again, you could just pull your camera up to the, up and to the left, and have this point of intersection where the boat is, and try it that way. Go from different angles, put your boat at different areas of intersection. You could do stuff like that. Just basically it comes down to working the scene. Too, I want to mention something real quick. I give you all these kind of rules, these so-called rules, the rule of thirds, and how to use f-stops, and how to use your shutter speed to get different effects, and all these technical things. And there's an old thing I learned a long time ago about the hemispheres of the brain. I think actually it's been proven that it's not true. Physiologically it's not true, but I'm going to use it as the metaphor I'm trying to explain. The left side of your brain is technical. That's where you process mathematics, you process distances, you do technical things with the left side of your brain. Your right side of the brain is for art and for spatial spatial relationships between objects, the colors and things, anything to do with art is on the right side of your brain. So when I go through all these technical things like the rule of thirds and the golden ratio, and using a longer shutter speed so you smooth the water out, all that stuff, those are all tools, and those tools reside in the left side of your brain. But I don't want you to live on the left side of your brain, because it just gets too technical and the images tend to look contrived. I want you to live in the artistic right side of your brain. Live there and use the tools. Every now and then reach over to the left side of your brain and pull out a tool that you could use in your photography. So always think of yourself as an artist first and a technician a distant second. So you're going to be an artist, and you're going to take these tools that I'm helping you with in these videos and in my Lightroom training and in my Photoshop training videos, all those different videos, and you're just going to use those tools to enhance your right side of the brain, where you're going to be living. Live in the right side of your brain, in the artistic part of your brain. And I think you'll see that your photographs will improve. I'm talking to everyone, not just Andy. I think your photographs will improve greatly when you don't dwell on the technical aspects as much. Learn them, learn what, try to learn what I'm trying to teach you, but then don't get mired in them. Live in the right side of your brain and make some beautiful images. The next few images of Andy's are black and white images, and a lot of them I consider to be fine art images. And you know that it's hard to critique fine art images because they're really in the vision of the photographer. But this is a really nice shot. It looks like the light was relatively harsh, but Andy did a nice job by focusing on the gate and the stone wall on either side of the gate and having it backlit. So he managed the light really well, and he really made a beautiful shot with great focus and composition. This shot here, this is a tough scene to photograph. It's busy. We have a lot of stuff. We have grass, we have the water, we have a swampy area, it looks like over here, and we have the trees. Again, it's processed in black and white. This tree here just is kind of bothering me in the shot. It should be maybe either the subject, but not the secondary subject. So the way it's presented here, it just doesn't really add to the overall scene, I think. I think if you had it more dominant in the shot and had some of this shot of the, actual way the tree is broken and the bark stripped off, something like that, and still incorporated some of the background, it might have improved the shot. The processing itself, if you guys could see here, see this glow here? That's a telltale sign that it was too much clarity, too much sharpness, maybe too much contrast. So you might want to back those controls down a little bit. You notice it not as readily online when you're viewing a JPEG, but when you print this, it becomes obvious. It becomes real obvious in the print, and you just want to avoid that if at all possible. This too is probably the same area. Again, it's a tough scene. I like the bench here, though. It adds some interest to the shot, and you didn't bullseye it. The bench is off to the lower right. I like that. So I consider this shot better than the last one. There's not as much of the glow on this shot. There is a little tiny bit, but not as much. This is another scene that's, I think, very difficult to photograph. It's a very interesting building. I really like it, and the stonework's really interesting. And I like how you framed it. You have this kind of like natural valley in the landscape, kind of helps lead you to the house. This overhanging branch, though, is really overhanging low, so it's obscuring the main subject a little too much. So I think if you could have got a lower angle and got down real low, and you could keep this in the shot, but keep it so it's just up here and you're getting more of the house in the shot, I think it would have been a stronger image. This shot's a very cool shot too. As you can see, this pole is falling away, and I really can't fix it as I normally do in Lightroom because I don't have any of the EXIF data in it. But if you go to lens corrections, typically you would go over to basic and you would enable profile correction, stuff like that, and you'd hit auto and it would straighten it out. But because there's no EXIF data here, it really can't. So you could do it manually. You'd have to pull these sliders, or this vertical slider preferably, and it will help straighten out so it doesn't look like it's falling back off the page or off the screen. It straightens the lamppost. In doing that, though, it creates a crop. You lose some of the lower image here, so you cut off part of this, or I cut off part of this bench when I did it, and I don't want to do that. Now this image too, the glow is more pronounced. As you can see, this glow around the trees. So you really, as I mentioned, you want to try to avoid that. So just turn clarity, sharpening, and contrast up just enough till you get the glow, then back them all down just a tiny bit. And I think you'll find that your images will look a lot better. And that's the last one for Andy. Andy, thank you very much for sharing your work with us. I really do appreciate it. I'd like to thank everyone that watches all my videos. Just thank you very much. I really, really appreciate everyone who watches the videos and all the nice emails I get. Thank you very much. If you guys have time, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd really appreciate that. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.